Thank you for joining us for the 2024 Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference Weekly Football Coaches Video Conference. I am Elise Scripter, Director of Strategic Communications for the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, and I will serve as moderator and co-host of today's question and answer session. Before we begin, I would like to go over today's procedures. The conference will begin with the MEAC notes featuring highlights from the weekend, upcoming events, and accolades. Afterwards, we will ask each head coach questions about the previous matchups, the upcoming games, followed by questions from the media. To ask a question, simply click the raise hand feature and remain muted until you are introduced. At this time, we will have the MEAC notes. In women's volleyball action, Coppin State improved to 4-0 in the MEAC with 2 wins this weekend over North Carolina Central and South Carolina State. Howard also sits at 4-0 in the MEAC volleyball standings, following wins over Delaware State and Maryland Eastern Shore. The Lady Bulldogs of South Carolina State picked up their first conference win of the season in a 4-set match against Morgan State. In men's cross country, the Norfolk State Spartans finished 6th at the Pirate Invitational, hosted by East Carolina. Rafael Couture led NSU with a second-place finish in 23 minutes, 40 seconds. North Carolina Central's MEAC Kuyo won the Cedric Walker HBCU Challenge, while teammate Emmanuel Padefoot was not far behind in third. Delaware State's Marion Drasden had the best finish of the day for the MEAC competitors at the Paul Short Invitational, placing 84th with a time of 24:39 in the men's 8K race. Howard's men's team also competed at the Paul Short Invitational and was led by Eob Gill with a 26:15 time. In women's cross country, Mercyline Camayo and Yvonne Sandui led the Spartans with a 19th and 20th place finish at the ECU Pirate Invitational. As a team, Norfolk State finished 10th. North Carolina Central's women finished second as a team led by Layla Jackson at the HBCU Cedric Invitational with the team with a 5th place finish. Howard's Jocelyn Crosby was the highest placing Bison to finish in the women's race at the Paul Short Invitational, finishing in the top third of all competitors with a 21:27 time. And finally, in tennis action, South Carolina State showed their skill on the court as the Bulldogs won the men's and women's singles crowns, as well as the women's doubles title, while North Carolina Central won the men's doubles title. To get the latest news on what's happening in the MEAC, visit meacsports.com. That concludes this week's notes. And now joining me as co-host throughout the season is executive producer of the MEAC Digital Network, Mr. Lynn Thompson. Welcome, Lynn, and thank you for being here with us. Let's talk MEAC football.
Thank you, Elise, and I'm always glad to be here and talk about MEAC football. So let's do it. Hey, welcome everybody to our 7th MEAC football video conference of this 2024 season. And I want to thank the media reps so much for following the exciting action of MEAC football each week. And with that, let's kick off today's show with our very first interview of the morning. And today, as always, with the head coach of the Howard Bison, Larry Scott. Good morning to you, Coach Scott. How are you?
Good morning, man. How we doing?
I'm good, man. I'm sure you got a little rest this past week as you enjoyed a bye week over the weekend. Talk to us about what your team. Talk to us about what your team focused on during this break.
Good. Just that. Kind of getting some rest a little bit, healing up. Had some guys that have been nicked and bruised up here the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season, and gave them a break and a chance to heal up a little bit, recovery, get some sleep, take care of some academics. It's always great to have young men have an opportunity to go in and visit with their professors and sit down with our academic people and all those good things and get caught up on some of their studies and things like that of that nature, especially being here as academics are very important here as to what we do at Howard. So giving young men a chance to do that and then attack some of our areas that we wanted to attack on the football field as far as getting better in the red zone and some third down things, some situational football. That was kind of the focus. So healing up, recovering, and attacking some of the areas we need to see some big-time improvements in.
Yeah, I know you mentioned earlier to us that offensively you struggled to close out some games this year. Red zone offense was one of the things. How did you focus some of the practice strategies on improving those areas this year? Can you tell us some of those things?
I took a deep dive from a quality control standpoint just to look at what we were doing and those things and whether, the kind of mistakes that were made, whether we were being penalized in the red zone or having some missed assignments in the red zone and those type of things. So we just took a deep dive into what we were doing. personnel and some things a little bit different and doing some things differently. And then just kind of, made that a point of emphasis in our, individual work, our group work, and as well as some teamwork, because our defense needs some work there too as well. So just from an emphasis standpoint of our team periods and those type of things, just focusing more in the red area is what we went to work on.
Okay, well, Coach, my final question to you before we turn it over to Elise and the rest of the media is this. You return home this weekend to play Sacred Heart at Green Stadium. Talk to us about this matchup. You got some great tape on them because they played 3 MEAC schools so far this year. So not only do you get a chance to do a real good look at Sacred Heart, but you get a good look at some 3 MEAC opponents too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think that's kind of the advantage of them playing 3 MEAC teams, is you get a chance to kind of look at, obviously what they're doing, but then how, other teams and stuff like that is focused on attacking them in our conference. So, yeah, that's been very beneficial. But at the end of the day, it's Howard versus Howard. This is not about the opponent right now on the other side. We need to go out and put together 4 quarters of really good football in all 3 phases: offense, defense, and the kicking game. And that's kind of been what our focus is. That's kind of been our rhetoric around here. It's about time that we start putting this thing all together and playing all together, and feeding off of each other and having each other's back and those things. So it's really not about, Sacred Heart this week at all. It's about us coming out of the break, getting better at the things that we focused on and getting put emphasis on, and going out and playing some really clean football, to roll into getting ready for conference play. So this is Howard versus Howard.
Okay, Coach, hold on. Elise, you've got some media questions for the head coach of the real HU.
Yes, thank you, Lynn. As a reminder, if you have a question, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced. Our first questions for Coach Scott come from Nathaniel Henry Jr.
Good morning, Coach. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Nate. How you doing?
Great. Nathaniel Henry, Howard Sports Media. Coach, Howard played Sacred Heart back in 2021 and came out on top 22-17. Talk about this team, which is coming off a 10-3 win over conference opponent Norfolk State, and some of your concerns.
Yeah, I think, again, my concerns in Sacred Heart. My concerns is how we're going to come out and play the football that we're capable of playing for 4 quarters, not kind of been hit and miss, up and down, play 2 real good quarters of football, or 3 good quarters of football, not finish the 4th, or vice versa, or not play well early and then, finish strong in the second half. I want to see us come out and play a complete football game. And I think that's the focus right now. It's not what Sacred Heart is doing. Of course, we look at some of their scheme that, they do some different things schematically and do a lot of different things. Some things that we got to be prepared for, obviously, and have our guys ready to handle and take care of. But at the end of the day, it's about us, being disciplined and eliminating the pre-snap penalties and all those type of things that have kind of been a thorn in our side a little bit. So just cleaning up how we've been playing football, play to our style of play to the brand of football that we know we're capable of playing here at Howard, with details and accountability and fast and physical and those type of things. That's more of what I'm looking for, and that's more of my concern right now, is getting it out of our guys to go play the type of football that I know we can play.
That's awesome. The young defense continues to improve both in the run and pass defense. Talk about their progress.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you want to see, right? You want to see the guys just find a way to get better, address some of the problem areas, get our personnel and different things like that right, and really, get our guys to fly around, play sound, disciplined defense, tackle well, fit gaps, be where you're supposed to be, and cover people. Whether we're playing zone or man or different things of coverage variations, we just want guys to execute and play clean at a high level. So we've been getting better at that, and what you want to start to do is make sure you're doing that as you ascend through the season, so that when it's time to be clicking on all cylinders and playing really good football, you're doing that. So we had a week to really get better this week, and I want to continue to see that progress this weekend versus Sacred Heart.
Yes, sir. One last question. A player who has become an integral part of the passing game as a receiver and as a return specialist is Isaiah Williams. Talk about him and his contributions.
Yeah, I mean, Isaiah's been a great addition to this program. He has a transfer from Central Connecticut State. Immediately day one when he stepped foot here, we kind of knew he had something a little different. He had some juice. He's special. He's a smart kid, really bright, works hard, practices hard, got really good hands, really good football IQ, and kind of just learned, our system, pretty quickly. And we're able to move him around, and it shows his versatility within the offense as well, being able to play in multiple spots. So Isaiah's been truly kind of a blessing to this program and where we are right now, and he'll do nothing but continue to be more productive and continue to get better as we continue to move throughout the rest of the season.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Have good luck this weekend.
All right, thank you.
That concludes all of our questions at this time for Coach Scott. Thank you for joining us this morning.
No problem. Thank you, guys. See you next week.
Howard returns to action this weekend, hosting Sacred Heart on Saturday, October 12th at Green Stadium in Washington, D.C. Kickoff is set for 1 p.m., airing on ESPN+. Lynn, over to you for our next interview.
Thanks so much, Elise. Coming up next, the head coach of the North Carolina Central Eagles, Coach Trey Oliver. Are you with us, Coach? Oh, I see you there, Coach Oliver. How are you? 3 in a row right now, Coach. You're rolling following the 45-14 victory over Campbell. Talk about this huge win on the road, Coach.
Yeah, big win. Non-conference game are always important to us here at North Carolina Central, but especially on the road, tough place to play, and they had I thought, a very, very explosive football team. Went down there, long bus ride down, and I thought we got off to a very slow start. They did a good job of possessing the ball early. Our offense only had 2 possessions in the first quarter, which is unheard of, but kind of settled down a little bit. Thought we had an explosive second quarter, and then, came on the second half, third quarter. I didn't think we played well at all. Very disappointed in that. Defense, I thought, played really well in the first half. They had minus 22 yards rushing, and then they had a couple explosive plays in the second half. But overall, I thought defense played well. Offense, they showed signs of explosiveness, but I didn't think we took advantage of some opportunities. Defense created 3 takeaways, and we only got 3 points off of our takeaways. So very disappointed there, but I thought special teams played well. We had a score there and set up another score. So we were fortunate to get out there with the win against a good non-conference Campbell team.
Coach, you said earlier about some of the factors of your football team. Your team has found its stride and identity over the last 3 games. Looking back over some of these weeks of talking with you, you said the speed on this team was better than some of your previous teams. That has been the case. Is that your identity as a football team now? You talk about your line, getting many of those players back. What is the true identity of this Eagle football team now?
I like to think that we're, obviously a fast football team, but I'd like to, think that we're, a tough football team. I think we're physical, and I'd like to say we're disciplined. We've done a much better job with our penalties. I think we had 5 penalties this weekend on the road. So that's, that's pretty good. But, we had the speed that was there, but guys had to understand their roles and doing their part and being focused. So I think that the guys are starting to take care of their responsibilities and doing their part. And now up front, if we can block and protect it for the quarterback, he can deliver the ball to these, some of these playmakers we have on the perimeter. Defensively, if we can stop the run, now we let our secondary be able to make the plays on the football. So I think we're starting to play a little bit better together as a unit. And I think the team's chemistry is a big reason about our success as of late.
Okay, Coach, you got winning 3 big football games. You return home this weekend to a football game that everybody expects you to win, not about how will you win, about how much you might win by. How do you motivate your team now, and how do you coach them this week to go up against an opponent that everybody knows that you should blow away?
Well, I guess as a coach's talk and everybody says it, but honestly, every game is about us. This past week against Campbell, we thought they had a good football team, but if we play like I think we can play, we're tough to beat. So it's about everybody improving every week. We talk about it, and the guys understand what's at stake, and we're not there yet. We can be so much better, so much better. And it was kind of like at the team meeting yesterday, it was kind of like we lost. Because so much stuff we can improve on. and the guys see it. So I'm really, really waiting for us to put this thing all together and to see how good we can be. So our guys will be ready to practice tomorrow, and we have to have a great week of practice. It's not about who we're playing, it's about us. You can look at the Alabama game, you can look at Tennessee. Miami almost got upset. Heck, look at us in Carolina. Carolina didn't think that we had a chance, but we were in the game late. So it's about us, and we have to come to play. And we're at home, so we have to put on a show for our home crowd.
Okay, Coach, 3 in a row so far. Let's get you ready for maybe 3 or 4 in a row from the media analysts right now. Hold on.
Thank you, Lynn. As a reminder to our media, if you have a question, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced. Our first questions for Coach Scott come from Chris Stevens, HBCU Sports.
Morning, Coach Oliver. How's it going?
How you doing, Chris?
Pretty good. You just mentioned that you felt like your team could have played better, but when we spoke last week, you said this Campbell offensive line was the biggest you were going to see this year. And of course, holding them to minus 22 yards rushing in the first half has to be an encouraging sign. Just talk about the job of your guys up front in that front seven to be able to neutralize Campbell the way they did in that first half.
Well, I tell you, Coach Core and our defensive staff and Coach McCray, Coach Thompson, and Coach Claiborne, those guys came with a great game plan. Going in, obviously, our goal is to stop the run, but we knew they had a Sincere Brown kid, the receiver, that's all world, and he's going to play on Sunday. So we were very concerned about him, and they throw a lot of jump balls to him. So we were trying to figure out a way how we could bracket him and still have enough hats to fit and slow down the run game down. So I thought we came with a great game plan, and the guys executed. We played really, really hard. I thought we were physical and played fast in that first half. So, started with Mansfield, those guys inside, Jaden Taylor, I thought played really well. Ryan Wynn, newcomer that we have, I thought played exceptional. So our run fits were there, and I thought that we kind of made them one-dimensional, and they had to try to throw the ball to beat us. And if you can make a team one-dimensional, it's hard to beat folks.
And of course, you return home this week, play Virginia University of Lynchburg. That's going to be, obviously, you can't overlook an opponent, as you mentioned. This past Saturday in college football across the board was just absolutely insane. But if there's one, obviously all 3 phases of the game are important, but is there any one in particular that you want this team to really hone in on this week coming up against VUL?
We need to improve in every phase. And I've seen improvement. We've gotten so much better over the last 4 weeks. I think there's still, we got a long way to go. We really do. And it's about what you put on film and not who we're playing. So whatever mistakes or whatever we had to get corrected from this past week or week before, let's not make those same mistakes. And then obviously, we don't have to, effort should never be in question. So we want to play a high level. We want to play fast. And let's improve on our missed assignments. And I thought last week we had a whole lot of them. We had a whole lot of missed assignments. Some technique in certain areas was really bad. I didn't think our O-line played well at all in the second half. And that's what we usually hang our hat on. So those guys are going to have to play much better up front this weekend.
All right, and last question. This is going to be your last non-conference game before MEAC play starts. When we spoke, obviously last year, you mentioned that you would much rather be 0-5 in these games and, of course, 5-0 in MEAC play. But what do you hope this non-conference schedule teaches your guys heading into MEAC play when you guys, of course, you have the week off next week and you have Morgan on the 26th. What do you hope this non-conference schedule, rolls over into MEAC play for your team?
Well, we had a tough, very tough non-conference, and we could easily been 0-6. So we could easily been where you're talking about. But it is about conference play. We wanted to get tested early. We wanted to have, play really good competition to prepare us for a tough, conference stretch. So we had that. We survived it. We've come out of there, whatever we are, 4-2 out the SI right now at the moment. Big home game this weekend. We got to finish this non-conference thing up the right way and get ready for the conference. So it's good to have some momentum going into conference play, but we cannot let these folks come in here and upset us this weekend.
All right, Coach, thanks for your time as always. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you, sir.
That concludes all of our media questions for Coach Oliver at this time. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Coach.
Thank you.
North Carolina Central returns home to host Virginia University of Lynchburg on Saturday, October 12th at O'Kelly Riddick Stadium in Durham, North Carolina. Kickoff is set for 2 p.m. on ESPN+. Lynn, over to you for our next interview.
Well, I think coming up, thank you so much, Elise. I think coming up now is the head coach of the Delaware State University Hornets, Coach Lee Hall. Coach, How you doing today?
Good. Could be a little bit better. Could be a little
Coach,
bit better.
I feel you, Coach. Homecoming, great crowd, a lot of energy on campus. We were following that game, Coach. You up until a few minutes in the fourth quarter, it was a ball game. You led it. Your Hornets faced right now a disappointing loss, 28-17 to St. Francis during homecoming. Let's talk about the game right now, Coach.
Yeah, it was a great game for going into the fourth quarter with three quarters, and we kind of fell apart right there at the end. There's really you can look at two plays. Um, we were moving the ball on offense, and we get down to the 10-yard line. Then we got a legal participation penalty that kind of hurt us. Actually, should have been hands to the face. The guy knocked our helmet off, and our guy kept participating, so we got a flag. But it should have been offset in penalties. But we got a 15-yard penalty on that. That kind of killed our drive there, got us out of field goal range. And then they go down and score, and then we don't execute the pooch kickoff. So they recovered. It took a great bounce in their favor. So the effort and the energy and the execution for 80% of the game was great, and we just got to learn how to finish. It comes down to finishing ball games once again.
Yeah, Coach, that's right. Would you led the game 22 points in the last 15 minutes that you give up? Those are factors that contribute to the breakdown, and improvement in those areas really, I guess, can be pointed. Those improvements really lie in the culture and winning, teaching them how to win and how to close out games. And you've talked about that week in and week out, and that comes with time, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, it does. And like I said, you got to be in those type of games to learn how to win them. So it's our time to win one of these type of games, but we're in them, and somehow I got to get those guys to focus and do what they have done for three quarters. The fourth quarter that we kind of tense up. I don't know if it's little anxiety or whatever, but we got to relax, and we got to do what we've been doing for three quarters in the fourth quarter. But I'd rather be in these games, and they're all learning experiences for us. And then we just got to win one of these.
Yeah, Coach, and you're back on the road this weekend, traveling to face Robert Morris. They're rested. What's the focus heading into this matchup, which is your last non-conference matchup? And how do you take last week's lesson into this week's examination?
Yeah, I mean it's about us. We talked about it. We watched the whole fourth quarter, and showed our players how they didn't beat us. We're beating ourselves. So we got to stop beating ourselves, and that comes in practice. This coming back, focus with a lot of energy. Towards the end of practice, we'll change up some things that we're doing. So it could be probably a little bit more competitive, and hopefully we can focus more, treat it like it's the fourth quarter. But it's just about us. It's what we're doing, and it's we have to finish games. We got, like I said, we got to keep doing what we're doing for three quarters in the fourth quarter, and don't get anxious or whatever, or think you have to make a play to help us win. Just do your job. And that's basically what it comes to. We're trying to do too much in the fourth quarter instead of just doing your job. And that'll be the focus, worrying about us, worrying about the Hornets and how we prepare.
Okay, Coach, I say it's a big difference from last year because you're in it at the end and you just got to figure out a way how to close it out. Hold on for a minute. Elise has some questions from the media.
I do. Thank you, Lynn. As a reminder to our media, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced. Our first questions for Coach Hall come from Chris Stevens, HBCU Sports.
Good morning, Coach Hall. How are you?
Good morning, Chris.
Obviously, very disappointing result, but as Lynn said, you guys are in a lot more ball games. As you said, the fourth quarter is going to be the one where you guys learn how to win. Just with the team this young, how do you sort of get them to see that taking that final step is not as far away as it probably seems to them?
Yeah, I think what we did yesterday, like I said, we watched the fourth quarter and we showed them, we were up 17-6 going into the fourth quarter. If we scored, instead of having that participation penalty for us, now it's 24-6. Game's probably over. We catch the pooch kick. Now we go. It's 5 minutes and 38 seconds left to go in the game. We got a chance to run the clock out. So we do have a very young team, and that's and I'm not making excuses because I'm not an excuse guy, but we do have a young team. We're playing a lot of redshirt freshmen. Guys, my first recruiting class that we redshirted last year, that they're playing now. We got some transfers that were at other schools but didn't play a whole lot. So it's really their first time with a lot of playing experience. They're older guys, but they're on the field. They're still young. So this is what you expect in year two. My first year, I got the job late. We didn't really have a recruiting class, so last year was really our first real true recruiting class that guys are in now. So we're young, but I'm not going to use that as an excuse. We got to figure out how to get these young guys to relax in the fourth quarter, understand you got the game. It's our game to lose. Just keep doing what you've been doing for 3 quarters and not try to do something superhuman and think that you need to make a big play. Just do your job. Take what's given to you. And especially on offense, if we can run the ball, let's run the ball. If your first read is open, hit your first read. We don't need a big play. We just need to possess the football or stop somebody.
And obviously, this is going to be the last non-conference stop before MEAC play starts. What do you take away from this non-conference schedule? What do you hope your guys take away from this as start conference play the following week, excuse me?
That we're a pretty good football team. If we just stop beating ourselves, that we've been in some big games and down to the wire. So hopefully they take that experience and understand the MEAC. You're going to be in every game. It's going to be a tough conference, and it's going to come down to the fourth quarter and who does not make mistakes. The most disciplined team is going to win. So let's take our experiences now. Let's not make those same mistakes when we get to MEAC play.
Lastly, not so much on the field, but it's kind of related to on the field. Debuted a new scoreboard at Alumni Stadium, and obviously there's been an announcement that the training facility is on the way. And just how important are those little, they're not little, but just those improvements that can help build a football program back up, and that makes your job as a recruiter a little bit easier?
It helps tremendously. Obviously, one thing when I first took the job, they talked about how our lack of facilities hurt recruiting. And, my first recruiting class, the last 2 years, we had guys on campus and a lot of it was, they go to other places. They got all the bells and whistles, just the facilities. It had nothing to do with coaching staff or the team or anything like that. They just wanted more, for them. So I think this is going to help us tremendously in recruiting because we'll be the only HBCU with an indoor facility. So that should be up and running about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years. Like I said, the scoreboard, we got new locker rooms. Even the visitors' locker room, we did over the visitors' locker room already. We got a new team room for our players, with flat screen TVs and all those things, Xboxes and all those things in there. So they are putting the money into it. They understand that this is a critical time, for DSU football and DSU athletics. And if we want to, win games and get the recruits that we need here, they had to put some money into it. And you can see, like I said, with the new scoreboard, plus we had a new logo put on the field too. On Thursday, so that was there for the game. And then, like I said, with the new indoor facility coming, I think that's going to help us tremendously in recruiting because now you have what all the players, recruits need and what they like, the bells and whistles.
All right, Coach. Thanks for your time as always. Best of luck this weekend.
No, thank you. Appreciate it.
Our next questions for Coach Hull come from Daryl Duvall.
Hey, Coach. How you doing today?
Good. How are you doing, Daryl?
All right. This is Daryl Duvall from Power U. Hey, man, I just want to say, I kind of go back to the last question of, what happened in the fourth quarter. I know you kind of told us that, and I mean, you all have been. I mean, when y'all first started in Hawaii, that was a pretty good game. And Hawaii is Hawaii, but and I see some changes and everything. Where do you see from going from this point to the next game that you're going to be playing next week, this coming week?
Like I said, we just got to worry about ourselves and prepare, fix the mistakes. Like I said, we got to figure out, in the fourth quarter, what we got to do to calm our guys down so they're not as anxious, thinking that they got to do too much, and make a play. So, we're as a coaching staff, we've been talking about that and putting our heads together. Do we change some of the stuff, how we do things in practice and meetings or whatever to get these guys calmed down? But the biggest thing is, execution has been good for, 3 quarters. Just keep doing the same thing.
Well, thank you, Coach. Like I said, you pretty much answered everything. It was a pretty good game, but again, we question is, breaking down in the fourth quarter, because you all were pretty much up until that fourth quarter just hit and it just broke down. So good luck next week, Coach.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That concludes all of our media questions for Coach Hull at this time. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Delaware State hits the road to face Robert Morris on Saturday, October 12th at Joe Walton Stadium in Moon Township, Pennsylvania, with kickoff set for 3 p.m. airing on ESPN+. Lynn, back over to you for our next interview.
Thanks so much, Elise. Our next interview this morning is with the head coach of the Norfolk State University Spartans, Dawson Odoms. Coach Odoms, glad to have you with us today. Your Spartans fell to Sacred Heart in a low-scoring contest, 10-3, where the Spartans, last possession of the football game, found themselves in the red zone, scored, but had it called back and could not convert after 4 straight passes. Coach, you saw your offense moving the ball 283 yards rushing. You lost your quarterback, had a freshman in there, but you had a chance to win it in the end. Coach, you were close, but you couldn't make it happen. Let's talk about it.
Well, the biggest thing is a hard-fought football game.
Yeah.
They played really well on defense, stopping us in. We lost quarterback early in the game, so we had to make some adjustments. I had the true freshman out there in the first half. He was, a little all over the place, but he settled down at halftime. We regrouped, did what he was comfortable with, changed the offense, it shifted, made a couple of changes on the O-line, and we was able to run the football. And that running game that we've been hanging our hat on finally made its way back to Norfolk, and we played competitive football all the way down to the last whistle. And defensively, I told them we can hold teams to 10 points. This thing it's gonna turn around, and they're getting better. Special teams played really well. They did a much better job. We just didn't come away with it at the end, and we had a chance to make some plays. Like you stated, we scored, had it called back, had a holding penalty. Our penalties were down. We played really polished football, other than the 2 turnovers. That's really what the difference in the football game. We turned it over twice. They didn't turn it over any, and we had to make that long ride back with an L. But the football team we're in good spirits. We got a chance to play at home. Townsend come into town, and we just get ready for the next.
Let's talk about Townsend, Coach. For the first time in a month, you're going to be back at Dick Price Stadium, playing a very tough CAA opponent in Townsend.
Well, it don't never get easier. So you got to buckle up. They just come off a big win against William and Mary. They're a good football team. We got to do a much better job against the run. They got a couple of receivers, so we'll get tested. But these guys have put together great game plans, and we'll see if we can go out and execute. And I really like our chances. We know what we got to do. We just got to be able to do it better than our opponent and give ourselves a chance. As long as you keep giving yourself a chance, that ball will eventually bounce your way.
Okay, Coach, that's it for me. Hold on just for a second, Elise. I see you got a couple of media members that really want to jump in and talk to Coach.
Yes, Lynn, thank you. As a reminder to our media, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced. Our first question for Coach Odoms comes from James Hill.
Hey, Coach, I hope you and everybody on campus are well in Spartans Nation. Talk a little bit about the opportunity of October football as you get opportunities to go out and play on Saturdays. Guys get an education and you move this thing forward.
Well, you know, this Saturday we got another opportunity to play football. And before we get to a much needed bye week, it's like you get somebody back, somebody go down, and it's a revolving door. And it's a tough, challenging 8-game schedule that we had. And this is the last one of those first 8. And you'd like to go into that bye week with a W and get some other guys healthy, get some rest, more mentally and physically. So a break is needed for these guys. But at the end of the day, Saturday is coming and they look forward to that opportunity because it's all about learning, man. Each day that we're above ground, we get a chance to learn and get a chance to teach these guys a lot of life lessons. And they're learning, they're growing, they're learning how to stay together through tough times. And we just need that one win to jump start it. And we feel like Saturday is another opportunity to chase that.
Coach Townsend gives an opportunity. Talk a little bit about what you see from that team on tape, and then you'll shift gears and eventually get into MEAC play, and that's where it's very important.
Well, Townsend is going to be, you know, they're very structured offensively in that simple category. They do what they do, and they try to do it very well. And they're going to execute. They don't usually beat themselves, even though I looked at the stats from the other night against William & Mary, a lot of penalties. So you got a chance. So you got to play disciplined football. You got to make sure that you are doing the necessary things to stop what they do best. And that's the biggest thing is just understanding what they're going to do best offensively and defensively. And you got to execute and have good plans in place and get players out there that can execute. When you throw a ball, got to have guys that catch it. When you run the ball, you got to have guys that can block. So if we can do those things offensively, we're going to have a chance for some production. Defensively, you got to do the same thing. When they run the ball, you got to tackle. When they throw the ball, you got to tackle. So you got to defend the whole field. You got to do it with great intensity and effort and attention to detail. If we can do those things, Saturday ought to be a good opportunity for us to, again, chase another W.
Thank you, sir. Have a blessed week.
Thank you.
That concludes all of our media questions for Coach Odoms at this time. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Coach.
Thank you. Behold, the green and gold.
Norfolk State is on the road or returns home to host Towson this weekend on Saturday, October 12th at William Dick Price Stadium in Norfolk, Virginia. Kickoff is set for 2 p.m., airing on ESPN+. Back over to you for our next interview, Lynn.
Thank you so much, Elise. Up next, the head coach of the South Carolina State Bulldogs, Coach Kenneth Berry. Coach, you went out of conference this week, went on the road to Tennessee, and you win a thriller that really was not as close as the score indicated, Coach. Ball down to special teams play at the end, and your Bulldogs escape Cokesville, Tennessee with a W and come on back home to Orangeburg. Coach, let's talk about this 22-20 win over Tennessee Tech.
Listen, first of all, thank you so much, man. It's good to see you, man. You're talking about divine intervention, man. Listen, man, listen. What a first of all great mindset of our young men. We went up into a situation that's tough. You know, we went to Cooksville, Tennessee, and whenever you got to take those long trips, man, and you're going out of conference, you want to represent the conference. And I thought we did a really good job of, you know, finding a way to win a football game in some adverse territory. First of all, it was on fire, man. It was hot. And, you know, they're going through some construction, so we had to use kind of, you know, outdoor facilities and things of that nature, man. But our guys were resilient through it all. We played a good football game on offense and defense. I thought our defense did an excellent job of stopping the run. You're talking about a team that rushed for 350 last week versus Gardner Webb. We held them to 95 yards rushing. Yeah. And, you know, I thought we did a really good job offensively of moving the ball pretty much all day. But what we struggled at was penalties, and most of those came on special teams, man. And we got to be better in that area. I mean, we had a lot of penalties, but 6 of them came on special teams. And we take pride in special teams. We really spend a lot of time in that area. We just got to clean some things up, and we will. That's what we're going to do this off week. But grateful to come away. Winning is hard, man. Winning is hard. And to be able to go and do what we did against a really good Tennessee Tech football team, kudos out to our players and our coaches for finding a way to get it done.
Coach, I'll tell you this, 465 yards total offense, 412 of those were passing yards from Eric Phoenix. That kind of yardage doesn't happen without a strong offensive line. You had to throw the football. I mean, they came in. I guess Tennessee Tech said we're not going to let them run the football. So I guess you took what they were going to allow you to take from them. And Eric Phoenix had a heck of a day throwing that football.
He really did. And, you know, our offense is all about taking what the defense gives us. And you're right. They were honing in on stopping our running attack, which we love what we do running the ball. But, you know, we just took what they gave us. And Eric Phoenix was amazing. I mean, he played a really, really good game. There were parts in the game where, you know, obviously you like to have a throw or two back. But for the most part, Eric Phoenix did what we expect him to do. You know, he's a veteran quarterback. He knows our offense, and he does a good job of managing it and getting to our playmakers. But, you know, I thought we had a really good day offensively. I like to run the ball a bit better. That's always a mission of ours, to run the football and stop the run. But I think we're headed in the right direction. We're going to really take this off week and really hone in on the things that we have to improve on. But I like the direction of this football team.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about the off week. This is the second bye week, right? Before returning home to Dawson Stadium on October 19th. So you're going to take a week off, Coach, but I know you're going to talk about yourselves, but you're going to also get an advanced look on who's coming into October on October 19th to Dawson Stadium. So let's talk about the focus. Tell me what you're going to do this week off. You're going to scout yourself, but you're also going to scout the opponent. So let's talk about that.
Absolutely, absolutely. We always try to do a good job of what we call self-scout. So we did a 3-game self-scout after the first 3. And then we're going to add the last 2 we had. And just kind of see where we are. What are people looking at when they watch us? So we'll do that as a staff first and foremost. And then what we're going to do is just really, again, continue to work on us. This will be the week where we spend a lot of time in individuals. You know, typically through the season, you know, we get, 20 minutes in Indy, but on our off weeks, we get about 45 minutes to an hour of Indy, just really focusing on us. You know, really it's us versus us deal now. You know, we're a banged up football team like most of us in the country when we get to about mid-season, close to mid-season. But, you know, we're going to, make sure we get those injuries treated and things of that nature. But it's really working on us. We're going to spend a lot of time on special teams. We're going to continue to hone in on things that we're doing good offensively and defensively and get rid of the things that we're doing bad. So I really like the mindset of this football team right now. I think they're in a good headspace, and it's great going into an off week with a win, and correcting things that we may have not done so well with a win. But, I'm very, very proud of the resilience and the perseverance of our young men finding a way to win a good football game against a good football team.
Okay, Coach. Well, get ready for these couple of questions that are going to be coming up to you from 2 of the best media reps out there in the business. At least you got to manage this for Coach so he can get focused and answer these 2 questions from James. And I say, Chris, ready for you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir, Lynn. Thank you. As a reminder to our media, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced. Our first questions for Coach Barry come from Chris Stevens, HBCU Sports.
Good morning, Coach Barry. How are you?
How you doing this morning, Chris? I'm well.
I'm great. I watched the last few minutes of that game. My heart was pounding for you and your football team, but you guys were able to pull it off. Just talk about what a win like this not only does for the confidence, but the camaraderie of this team to be able to hold off a tough Tennessee Tech team, see it through, and get out of there with the W.
Listen, man, it was, first of all, big for our team. Just to see the look on those young men, eyes when we came into that locker room, I was they were just so proud and relieved. I mean, we had to pull the IVs out and everything. I mean, guys were cramping. I mean, it was a tough, hard-fought victory, and that brings us closer as a football team. It really does. And getting them to believe and getting the mindset right, awesome. Because it was so many situations in that game where we had a chance to put that team away, but they just kept. We were shooting ourselves in the foot quite a bit, but they just kept on plugging along. And kudos out to Coach. I tell you what, I had to spend a lot of time with Coach prior to the game, Coach Wilder, Bobby Wilder, which is a longtime vet in his coaching profession, and spent a lot of time with him after the game. And then he sent me a message It really made me feel proud about the football team. He had sent me a message yesterday just talking about how well coached we were and how hard our guys played. And, he looks at our football team as, one of the top programs in the FCS. I mean, and that was kudos just hearing it come from him. And I think we're heading in the right direction. Are we there yet? Absolutely, we're not there yet. We still have some growing pains that we're trying to figure out and learn and grow. And when you're building the culture that you want to build, it takes time to build it the way you want it. But I think we're heading in the right direction. But that win really brought us closer, and it was good for our conference as well. To be able to represent the MEAC and go out of conference and win against a good OVC team, it brings joy to my heart, but it also brings pride and resilience and love amongst our program.
Obviously, Eric Phoenix has shown himself to be a quality FCS quarterback, 400 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. When I asked you about your guys making a jump from Division II earlier this year, you said, it's football, man. And it still seems like that these guys have really just adopted that mantra of being able to succeed at the next level. But just talk about how special Eric has been. Obviously he played for you at Benedict. He transferred to, I believe it was Murray State, if I'm not mistaken, and then he rejoined you at South Carolina State. Just talk about what it's like to have him back in the fold and see him shine at the highest level.
I mean, Eric is doing a good job, man. He really is. He's doing a good job of just taking what defense give him, and that's what he's doing. I mean, he understands the offense. He's very smart. He's very cerebral. And he spends time with me. He comes in, we talk about the plan and what he likes, what he doesn't like, and I listen to him because we've learned over the years to trust one another. I trust him, he trusts me, and when you have that relationship, I can coach him hard, and I do coach him hard because I love him. He know I love him, and I want what's best for him, and he's a talented individual, man. The young man is a true dual threat. I mean, he can run it, he can throw it, and he can make every throw, and he's smart, and he's a competitor, and he wants to win. I just got to get Eric to make the routine plays when he needs to make them. I mean, he can make every throw, deep, short, long, all that, but he needs to just make the routine one. And if he can clean some of those deals up, and a lot of it starts, for the quarterback, it starts with the bottom up. Everybody talks about arm talent, which is important, but your feet has to be right. And when he misses sometime on throws because his feet are not where they're supposed to be. But I'm grateful to have him in the program. I'm grateful that he's our quarterback, and he'll continue to do good things, and he'll continue to learn and grow and blossom. But he is a special talent, and he is an FCS quarterback, no question about it.
Obviously, you have the bye week this week, then you have Fort Valley State coming in. That's your last non-conference game. What do you think this non-conference schedule should teach your guys, or at least some of the good things that you want them to take over into MEAC play when that season gets started in a couple of weeks?
Well, first of all, I think that Fort Valley State University is a really, really good program, and they do a really, really good job. And we're going to have to be prepared for a really good football team. Coach Sean Gibbs is going to have his team ready to go. But it's really, like I said, it comes down to us. And those first 6 games are extremely important. We've finished 5, and we have 1 more with Fort Valley, but it's extremely important to, first of all, play a lot of guys. I always get on our coaches about give a young man a chance. We want to get reps of guys early on in the year and play multiple guys, because down the stretch when it gets into MEAC play, we need guys to be ready. So those first 6 games are critical to us in our development of our young men and build confidence in young men. I think half the battle is building confidence. And when you go out there and you've got a chance to play against a good FAM team, a good Citadel team, a good Georgia Southern team, a good A&T team, and now a good Tennessee Tech team, man, you're talking about some good ball clubs. And now you're going against another good Fort Valley team. We're building confidence and building chemistry and comradeship amongst each other before we get into MEAC play.
All right, Coach, thanks very much for your time as always. Enjoy the bye week.
Thank you so much, man. We appreciate it. We need it. God bless you.
Our next questions for Coach Barry come from James Hill.
Good morning, Coach. I hope you and everyone in Orangeburg are well. How are you, sir?
Good morning. How are you, man? I'm all well. How about yourself?
I'm blessed. The coaching tree there at South Carolina State, Coach Jeffries, Coach Mr. Pugh, and yourself, and now here you are revitalizing this program, 3-2 already as you usher in your era. Just talk about taking it one day at a time, one game at a time, and you guys are winning.
And that's really our philosophy. If anybody knows me, people use the word 1-0, but we really, really live that. I mean, we're about 1-0. Just try to win today and just be the best we can be every day. And the wins will add up if you continue to go 1-0 every day. And like you said, to drop those names, man. I mean, I see those guys. I spend time with those guys every week. Willie Jeffries, man, legend, living legend, wisdom. I see him every Thursday at our Orangeburg Touchdown Club, and he just loves on me, and I love on him, and I try to get as much as I can get. Oliver Buddy Pugh, man, he just left my office literally about right before I started the call, just to have him as a resource. That's my guy, man. I really, really love Oliver Buddy Pugh, man, and those guys they help me. And I'm grateful to just be in the number. I mean, just to be able to come and be the next guy behind those greats, man. It's a special time and a special day, man. And I'm grateful to have those two living legends as resources to be able to go to. But again, just to answer your question, all in all, man, just to be able to follow those two and then just try to chop wood, carry water every day, and fall in love with the process of going 1-0 every day is our mantra, and that's what we're all about.
Coach, to be able to go in there and win a game by 2 points and earn that victory and move forward, talk about what that can do for your team as you guys gel and you guys solidify.
I think that was really, really big for our program. I think that was a program-defining win. I really, truly do. When you look at Tennessee Tech, they had lost to University of Georgia and Middle Tennessee State University. They had beat a good Tennessee State team, and then they beat a Gardner-Webb team on the road. So we knew that this, we were both 2-2, and this could really solidify and really take us to the next level and going outside of our conference and represent. And we had it. We told our guys all week, guys, they're not going to give it to us. We're going to have to literally go in there and take it. There's a time of peace, that's during the week, right? But then there's a time of war. And we knew going into that game, if we were going to have to go to war, we were going to have to bring our A game. When we traveled 70 guys on the road, and those 70 had to be bought into the process. And they understood that, and they understood the mission. And trust me, it was a hard-fought victory, and we earned every bit of it. So we have 24 hours where we enjoy it, but we've already finished that 24. Now we're ready to get ready for the next game, which is a good Fort Valley State University team.
Coach, why is October football so important as you move through the middle of your season, looking forward to the light at the end of the tunnel? Why is October so special and precious?
Well, September, you're finding out who you are, right? What kind of team you are. You're getting in shape, you're playing multiple guys. October is critical because October is where you get the separation. You start to see teams separate. All right, you want to get that separation so you can make it a November to remember. That's the mindset of our young men. You get your separation in October. So we just want to continue because October is a big month for us. And again, we want to just go 1-0 every week. We're going to have 3 more tough games in October. So it started with Fort Valley State University, which is a really, really good team. I'm going to keep saying that over and over again because I just left that league in the SIC, and I know what kind of ball club they are. So, we're just going to fall in love with right now. October 19th is the day we got to get ready for, but we're going to be the best we can be today on October, I believe it's the 7th, and try to go 1-0 today. So that's what we're all about.
Thank you, Coach. Continued success and have a blessed week.
Thank you so much. Take care.
That concludes all of our media questions for Coach Berry at this time. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you guys for having us. Go Dogs.
South Carolina State has a bye week this week before returning home to Oliver C. Dawson Stadium in Orangeburg on Saturday, October 19th, when they host Fort Valley State. Kickoff set for 2 p.m. broadcasting on ESPN+. Lynn, back over to you for our next interview.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Elise. Our last and final interview of the morning is with the head coach of the Morgan State Bears, Coach Damon Wilson. Coach, let's start this thing off by saying congratulations on 100 career coaching wins. You're too young, man. It must be including Pop Warner, high school, junior high school football, and everything on that, Coach. Congratulations, though.
Hey, Lynn, I appreciate it, buddy. I don't feel as young as you may.
You're the only man I know that dyes your beard gray. Okay.
I appreciate you, Lynn.
But man, congratulations. You have earned it, Coach. Your team put together a dominant performance on the field against Lincoln on homecoming. Let's talk about it, Coach. No better place to do this, to earn this career milestone win than at home, at homecoming. Talk about it.
Hey, Len, it was a true blessing, man. You have an opportunity to become a college head coach, in 2009, and then you're looking back now and reach the 100th win. Man, I've had a lot of good ball players, a lot of good coaches, good administration has given me an opportunity to do so. I don't take it lightly at all. I'm excited about it. I understand I have a long road ahead of me as a football coach, but at the end of the day, it's a blessing to have the opportunity to lead at this point, 2 different ball clubs throughout my career.
Coach, and you put on a great show led by your redshirt junior quarterback, Deuce Taylor, who stepped into the trigger man position this weekend. He threw for almost 200 yards. Can you talk about how this man's performance really motivated your team, and what does it mean moving forward for the Bears?
Well, Deuce did a great job not turning the ball over, kind of executing our offense. We had a couple big plays in there, which allowed him to be confident and gain some success. Deuce is not new. He was in a program when we arrived. He had some starts before. We're trying to battle back with Taj being out right now. I think we had 3 freshman O-linemen start with 2 sophomores. So I was really glad to see us have some success offensively and defensively. The guys did a great job, keeping them out the end zone. They had an explosive play early on, and from that point on, they pretty much, shut them out the rest of the game.
Coach, I'll tell you what, now here are the Bears. You're 3-3 right now at this point. You've got some great non-conference wins for you. As a matter of fact, across the MEAC spectrum, the MEAC has some tremendous out-of-conference wins led by your program. But you're 3-3, and now coming into Baltimore, Merrimack College for your last non-conference game of the season before heading into a bye week. This matchup against a Merrimack team that's much better than their 1-4 record. They lost 21-6 to Air Force, lost last week 16-14 at Dartmouth. They're playing some high-quality teams, much like the Morgan State Bears. So let's talk about this game with a 500 Morgan State Bear football team going up against a 1-4 Merrimack team, where the fans and some folks who may not know may say, oh, this might be a cakewalk.
No stretch. That's far from the truth. Merrimack is a very good football team. Watching these guys fly around defensively, they put the emphasis on stopping the run, and they run the football offensively. As you mentioned, they had a very tough first 5 games of this season, but these guys get after it. It's a lot of young men from this area that's on their roster, so I'm familiar with a number of them. And we'll have our hands full Saturday. We have to be physical. We have to match the intensity. We're going to have to score the ball offensively, and we have to stop the run defensively. But this is a great opportunity for us to get better and get ready to roll for conference play, leading into a much needed bye week. But it's nothing like going into a bye week after a win. So we want to make sure we do everything possible to come out and be victorious on Saturday.
Coach, okay, final question before Elise takes over with the media. Year 3, right? Year 3 for you. As you prepare to wrap up the non-conference portion of your schedule, where are you in year 3?
Well, we're making strides. We're not there. The buy-in that is there. The guys wanting to win and compete, that's there. We still have to focus on doing the little things right. That's an area that we're still trying to improve, as well as the mindset with the support entities around campus. Just getting them to understand that you don't win championships without total commitment from everyone on campus, whether it's the custodian workers, whomever it may be, groundskeeper, everything has to be done in a championship mindset. So we're still knocking down that door. We had some great conversations Saturday with some alums and some supporters. So they're starting to see it. Now we just want to take that next step. And this week's game can help us do just that.
Okay, Coach, hold on for Elise and the media.
Thank you, Lynn. As a reminder to our media, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you are introduced. Our first questions for Coach Wilson come from Chris Stevens, HBCU Sports.
Good morning, Coach Wilson. How are you?
I'm good, Chris. How about yourself?
Pretty good. First of all, congratulations on 100 wins. But before I get to that, I want to ask you about how it felt to have homecoming on campus this year, after the unfortunate events last year. Your team, your school, you guys get to enjoy homecoming and then cap it off with a win. Just what has this whole week meant for Morgan State University, not just from a football standpoint, but from a university standpoint?
It was great, Chris. I mean, the administration did a great job putting certain safety measures in place. The alum supporters came out. I mean, the campus was jam-packed throughout the day. We were glad that the gala went well the night before the game. The festivities throughout the game day went off well. I mean, it was just a great atmosphere. Weather was great, and for us to come out with a W at the end of the day, that was really what it's all about. So we can thank our alums and our supporters on the football field, and that's what the guys did. So I was really excited about that.
You guys have had a little bit of a mixed bag, as far as, different levels of competition with your conference schedule. Just how important is it for a football team as young as yours to see that sort of, different level of competition to prepare for MEAC play?
I think it's really important. And as you mentioned, we are all over the place with regard to the scheduling. One thing that every coach on here has mentioned, we try to focus on us, getting better. We got our butts kicked last week when we were at Stony Brook. So it's really important for us to come out this week and play with better effort and energy, but at the same time, get some younger guys or get guys in general some experience so they can get some snaps to be ready to roll for conference play. And, I think we've accomplished that. And once again, we want to put everything in to having a chance to be successful this weekend, so we can go into the bye week coming off a win.
And lastly, just getting back to 100 wins, as you mentioned at the outset, you have credited your players, your staff, and the administrations that you've worked for. But just what does it mean to reach this milestone and know that probably the best is still ahead for Damon Wilson, whatever football team he's coaching? Because it's obvious that, the young men believe in you, the universities believe in you. But just talk about what it means to be as a head college football coach as long as you have and affect as many lives as you have, in your, experience.
Like I said, it's something I don't take lightly at all. It's a true blessing. It's something that I didn't get into this business trying to win 100 games or get in this business necessarily trying to win championships. It was more so how many people can I impact? How many people can I help? And I think the byproduct of helping people and giving folks an opportunity are the championships, are the wins. But those life lessons and those conversations that I've had with players over the years have been great. I mean, like I said, the administration, man, Dr. Mickey Burnham giving me a start at Bowie State, and Mr. Derek Carter as an athletic director, hiring me and giving me a chance as a young coach to come in and lead the ball club. I understand that not a lot of good coaches reach 100 wins. I have never looked it up or anything like that. That's something I may do during the offseason, but I know it's a lot of good coaches that hadn't reached triple digit wins in college football. And so once again, it's something I don't take lightly at all.
All right, Coach, thanks very much for your time as always. And again, congratulations and best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Wilson come from James Hill.
Hey, Coach, I hope you and everybody in Baltimore are well. How are you, sir?
Doing well, James. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Morgan State 41, Lincoln, PA, nothing. Offensively, unstoppable, clicking, and then at the same time, a shutout on the defensive side. Take us back to that game, and what do you recall?
The guys were prepared to play. Well, once again, we came out playing with a lot of energy. I think the first play of the game, they may have popped a 60, 70-yard run on us that ended up stopping them in the red zone, and they had a field goal attempt, and we blocked the field goal attempt. But guys just out of place. However, we still in the red zone offensively. There were two possessions that we didn't come out with points. That's something that we want to do a better job of. We had a turnover one time in the red zone late in the game. I think our special teams unit played much better throughout the course of the ball game. So once again, we're going to continue to get better each week, but really glad to get a win at homecoming and get a shutout. And it's hard to shut teams out nowadays, so that's a major accomplishment. And scoring 40 points with the shutout for homecoming, that's a great accomplishment.
Coach, the psychological piece of success, to look at the scoreboard and see a 41 piece and everybody getting an opportunity to play well and gel and play together. How beautiful is that as the team moves forward?
I think it's really important. One thing that I always talk about is doing the necessary things to be successful, and then how to sustain success and how to handle success. Those are three phases, in my opinion, that are important to winning football games or building programs. First, how can we be successful? And then you got to wonder how can you sustain success, and then how you handle it. It's really important. Guys, we won a ball game Saturday. Guys showed up to work Sunday morning ready to work after a homecoming victory. We had a youth team come up to watch us practice Sunday morning at 9 o'clock. And they were like, Coach, hey, the guys played yesterday? Yes, they did. And they all showed up to work the next day ready to go. So that was an example of how to, handle success and ready to punch back in the next day after homecoming, which I'm sure some hung out, had a good time with alums and everything, but they showed up to work. And that was really good to see on time.
Coach, congratulations and a shout out, if you will, for achieving the 100 victory milestone. And there's more to come. There's more where that came from. Those victories include national championships, MEAC, and so on and so forth. But just talk a little bit about that journey. And during that journey, young men have received educations, and you've built people for life.
And that's what it's all about, James. I mean, a lot of people around the world, they complain about going to work, man. We go to work 7 days a week. I'm happy going to work, and it's about looking at those 115 young men in the locker room, making sure that we're doing any and everything possible to get them a chance to be successful in life. And we're doing it through a sport called football. And like I said, it's a blessing. It's a great opportunity. I've had a number of people impact me as mentors, as coaches, and it's my responsibility, my obligation to pull back into these young men that may not have that father figure, that male role model in their lives. It's our responsibility as coaches to fill that void, and it's something I don't take lightly, but I wear it with a great badge of honor. After being called father or dad by my son, the next best word after that is coach, in my opinion. And it's a title that means a lot to me. So, it's something near and dear to me. I was raised by my dad and mom, and they instill certain things in me, and I try to instill those same things in my young men.
Mm-hmm. All right, Coach, have a blessed week and continued success.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Jane.
And our next questions for Coach Wilson come from Kayla Sweezy.
Hi, Coach. Hope you're well. And of course, congratulations on the 100 wins. I wanted to ask you, you've been talking a lot about utilizing younger players, especially on the offensive line. Who has stood out to you and who can we expect to see more of as we head into that conference play?
Hey, Kayla, some of that was coach's talk. It wasn't ideal to use some of these younger guys, but I think we have seven offensive linemen down right now. So, almost by default that we have to use some of them, but it's a blessing. Those guys know we trust them. And one thing that gives us an opportunity is those guys believing. We have not started the same offensive line, not back-to-back weeks yet. But one of the young men that has stood out thus far is Blake Scriber, true freshman that's playing. He stood out in Caden. Caden's another young man that got his first start this past Saturday who didn't play bad at all. So, with three freshmen, two sophomores, we're being challenged. And with our number 2 quarterback, we're being challenged. But these guys know we trust them, believe in them, and they practice hard. They deserve the opportunities.
Yeah, and do you have any injury updates on either Eric Hunter or Taj Smith? You knew I was going to ask that. So
I did. Eric is getting closer. He's getting closer. He's running around and practicing now. So he's getting closer, and hopefully we'll be able to pick Taj up. Hopefully this week. I haven't gotten a report this morning, but hopefully this week, if not, after the bye week. But he's doing everything he's asked to do or asked of him. And so hopefully we get those guys sooner than later.
You've talked a lot about this like next man up mindset. How are you seeing these players, the ones and the twos, supporting each other, knowing that when someone's healthy, it's going to be their shot again as well?
I mean, and what I've been challenging the quote unquote twos is once you get that opportunity, don't give it back. I think when you build depth and build that mindset, and guys when they nicked up, now they're going to fight through those nicks and bruises because they don't want to lose their position. And just because a guy is hurt, traditionally you don't, lose your starting position due to injury. However, if someone's on the field playing better than you at that time, that's when you're going to build depth. Now you have 2 or 3 guys that could be starters at one position. And they've been really supportive of one another. They understand it. Once again, we got another home game, which is great this week, and then we'll go into the bye week. So anybody that's able to fight through, push through this week, I'm asking those guys fight through, push through. Then we have a week to get healthy before we play one of the best teams in FCS.
Yeah, final question. You've stressed a lot just the importance of the red zone, and we're seeing some improvements there. What are you liking and what are you hoping to work on this upcoming weekend and then that bye weekend as well?
I'm liking, well, until Saturday, I'm liking not turning the ball over and no penalties in the red zone. We pretty much eliminated those thus far. We want to continue to improve. Where one time we were taking turns messing up down in the red zone, not paying attention to detail. And some of that is youth, some of it is lack of experience. But once again, I'm not an excuse guy, so therefore, we must do what we need to do to get in the end zone and pay attention to detail. And I like the way the guys are moving in that direction and taking advantage of the opportunities to get down and want to score.
Thank you, Coach. Best of luck this weekend.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Morgan State is home this week, hosting Merrimack College on Saturday, October 12th at Hughes Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland, with kickoff set for 3 p.m. broadcasting on ESPN+. This concludes the weekly MEAC football coaches video conference. Before the end of the conference, we would like to thank all that assisted and participated in today's video conference. The MEAC would also like to thank its corporate partners for their continued support of the conference and its Elite 8 member institutions. As a reminder, our next video conference is next Monday, October 14th at 10 a.m. For more information on MEAC football and other sponsored sports, visit meacsports.com and follow the MEAC on social media at MEAC Sports on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. Thank you for tuning in to this week's MEAC Football Coaches video conference and have a great football week.